Hi, I'm Dave Soriano, and I am a chemistry professor with the University of Pittsburgh's Bradford campus in northwestern Pennsylvania. Um, I'm currently developing a specific chemical ecology project, and will include my undergraduate students. And I'm also a member of the International Association of Chemical Ecology. My training is in organic chemistry, and this is part one of a rather simple presentation, Avian repellent research. And I'll be developing in one of my upper level chemistry courses next semester an introduction to chemical ecology with specific attention to avian repellent research. We'll go to the next slide. And this introduction to my current research in chemical ecology, avian repellent effects, is based on a U.S. patent number 5,672,352 issued in 1997. There's about 2 years to go on this patent, and the inventors assigned the patent to Monell Chemical Census Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The patent contents I strongly recommend as containing an excellent introduction to chemical ecology research of this type. It's an excellent starting point for learning something about chemical ecology, in particular chemical repellents. Now, quantitative structure-activity relations, commonly called QSAR, the acronym, it's used in molecular pharmacology and has been for a long time, and it's coupled to rational computer-aided drug design, and that can be utilized, QSAR, in predicting the activity of selected bird repellent candidates. So in other words, this has been used for quite a while now in the design of new potential medicines, and it certainly seems like such approaches can be used now to selectively design bird repellents, chemical repellents. Now, field testing, of course, must be conducted to determine statistically which species are deterred from treated bird seed used in feeders, and what are the species that are deterred, and some stats based on the efficacy of deterrency. Now, my current research in this field serves as an introduction to the relatively new science of chemical ecology in general, which is only about 3 decades old. Growing human population places increased demand on agriculture and industry. In efforts to deter crop loss, bird aversion agents must be designed and field tested that do not harm wildlife or humans and must be biodegradable. This is not a facile task. The Migratory Bird Treaty Act sets zero tolerance for bird mortality. There is a continuing need to develop new bird aversion compounds. It has been established that semiochemicals, these are in general sensory agents, it's known that methyl and dimethyl anthranilate, I will call them MA and DMA for the rest of the presentation, they're known to be bird repellent agents and have been patented as feed additives to deter feed loss. In addition, bird aversion agents such as methylphenylacetate, ethylphenylacetate, orthoaminoacetophenone, veratrolylamine, cinnamic aldehyde, cinnamic amides, cinnamic acid ester derivatives have all been tested. These are, in the world of organic chemistry, very simple chemicals, and as you'll see as the presentation progresses, you want to keep things as simple as possible chemically. The United States Fish and Wildlife Service has targeted the mining, petroleum, and natural gas industries for enforcement in an attempt to eliminate the attraction wastewater ponds represent to birds and to bring these industries into compliance with the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. Now, we here in Bradford, Pennsylvania, we're in the traditional Bradford oil fields that were discovered here in western Pennsylvania circa 1870. And of course, with the Marcellus Shale extending from New York State into Pennsylvania, there's been a significant increase in natural gas exploration and development. Thus, the use of feeders in close proximity to these wastewater ponds treated with selected avian repellents, or the addition of such agents to wastewater ponds directly, can be envisioned. Now, of course, you cannot have chemical agents that, from a physical point of view, that are denser than water, or they'll sink. So if you're going to put them directly in water, they would have to be less dense and floating. That's if you want to add them directly. Now, economic figures for the petroleum and agricultural wastewater drainage basins, they're not, unfortunately, not readily available. It is clear that wastewater and crop losses are significant. Blackbirds and starlings, for example, can cause significant feed loss. The risk of avian feedlot depredations to individual farmers is significant. Estimates of the grain loss in feed is estimated to be 10 to 12% annually. 26% of farmers, for example, in Tennessee, reported more than negligible damage, with 6% reporting significant losses due to birds. Use of repellents to reduce consumption would be beneficial if costs for the addition of the repellents can be kept below 10% of the cost of the feed. Birds can also cause significant damage to livestock by transmitting disease. It's clear that birds cause significant loss of crops. Currently, there is a need to develop non-lethal bird repellents to control avian crop depredation and accidental bird poisonings. Now, we will, at the end of this presentation, this is part one, we will have a nice selection of references. One such reference would be the anthranilate repellency to starlings, chemical correlates and sensory perception, which appeared in the Journal of Wildlife Management, 1989. Repellency in birds is substantially different than such phenomena in mammals. Although there is evidence that irritants are perceived similarly within a vertebrate class, there are dramatic differences in perception between classes of vertebrates. That much is known for sure. Birds, for example, do not avoid familiar mammalian irritants that we all know as humans, such as ammonia, gingerol, zingerone, hydroquinones, naphthalene, etc. Other known mammalian irritants, such as piperine, allyl isothiocyanate, and mercaptobenzoic acid, have repellent effects on birds, but only at concentrations in excess of 10,000 parts per million. Now, the most striking example of avian mammal difference is seen with capsaicin. And capsaicin, of course, is responsible for the perceived hotness in red chilies, where mammals avoid treated foods at 100 to 1,000 part per million concentration, but birds will consume it, even such treated feed, even at 20,000 parts per million. Avoidance of a compound can be based on post-ingestional factors, i.e. toxicity, where a conditioned aversion to a sensory clue is learned. Avoidance can also be mediated via purely sensory clues. Now, methyl, the MA, and dimethylanthranilate, DMA, respectively, and other ester derivatives, and esters of phenylacetic acid have been shown to be effective bird repellents with preferred embodiments, in other words, patented structures, for use as recommended feed additives to deter feed loss. That olfaction and trigeminal chemoreception underlie the averseness to MA and DMA to birds is now well established. Avoidance is based upon odor quality and irritation. Earlier studies had concluded that limited taste capacities of birds mediated repellency. That now is too simplistic. Indeed, many birds are capable of making quantitative and qualitative odor discriminations. Many birds avoid edibles based upon chemosensory clues or cues. When avoidance is non-learned and resistant to habituation, the bird is most likely responding to a chemical irritant. How does this irritation occur? Well, mediation of irritation is via the chemically sensitive fibers, A and C fibers, of the trigeminal nerve in the birds. These fibers are typically found in the highest densities around mucous membranes. For birds, this corresponds to the eyes and buccal nasal cavities. Although MA and DMA esters have been shown to repel birds, not all ester derivatives of anthranilic acid are active. For example, lenollyl anthranilate is a good repellent, whereas phenethylanthranilate is not. Both have the same molecular weight. So isomerization is not the only important factor in identifying bird repellents. Hence the need for quantitative structure-activity relations for rational design of such chemical repellents. In addition, a simple spray of aqueous emulsion of MA sprayed on food lacks sufficient taste persistency to serve as an economic taste aversion agent. It can wash off in the rain. DMA is also light sensitive and will chemically degrade to a non-aversion agent in sunlight. There is a definite need to develop bird repellents that pose little or no environmental harm due to low potential of bioaccumulation, a substance that has specific biological action. That material, there's a need in order for the material, such a material. The advantage would be to repel birds from crops while not increasing the mortality risk due to exposure to such repellents. There is a further need for bird chemical repellents that serve as safe additives to agricultural products or even to standing water, and one that can be used as a safe spray to a chemical agent that can be applied safely as a spray to crops. Such repellents are preferred because agricultural, industry, and wildlife needs would be met. This can also have an enormous impact on major domestic chemical producers and the farmers' reliance on the continued availability of the producer's agricultural products. Despite increasing demand, there are few non-lethal chemicals available for control of avian depredation and nuisance problems. Ecology is essential and should be part of any undergraduate general education, GE, curriculum. The environment and energy, ecology, cannot be separated from one another in our modern technical society. Now, in the next part of this video, we will start to look at the quantitative structure-activity relations, QSAR, in the rational design of repellent agents. I have here in our department several different types of chemical software. I have ChemBioOffice, WaveFunction, and I can actually generate electrostatic potential plots showing what would be needed as an equivalent of a pharmacophore in a medicine. In other words, once we have somewhat of a database, a pool of chemical repellents, we can look at those structures and determine by design, using a computer, which second-generation chemical agent should be prepared and field tested. Now, in part 2, we will get into that. If you need to contact me, Soriano, Soriano, at pitt.edu, and I'll see you down the road. Thanks for listening. Bye now.